Hello everyone, thank you for joining our webinar on how MVC 6 could be the perfect framework for you. So we would be beginning the webinar in a while. We'll just wait for a few more minutes so that our last minute participants can log on. Welcome to our webinar on familiarizing with the new MVC 6 and Web API in ASP.NET. So this is a series of webinar and this is our second webinar. So previously we had learned about ASP.NET and we had got acquainted with ASP.NET. So introducing myself, I am Mukta Ashok Kumar and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Now as we begin, let's review a few pointers on how we can interact during the webinar. So you're looking at the attendee interface of GoToWebinar and there is a viewer window on the left and everything that you are seeing is what we are sharing from our screen as of now. There is also a control panel at the right and we have an option so that you can ask questions and share your comments. These questions and comments will be answered during the question and answer session. Now the webinar is also being recorded, so everyone will receive an email with a link to view the recording of today's event. Moving on. So as we move on to the webinar, I would like to introduce you to our company, Suyati Technologies. Suyati focuses on delivering niche IT solutions and services. Now this includes CMS, CRM and e-commerce. We are a Microsoft Gold partner with an extensive experience in free and open source and mobile app technologies. Speaking about ASP.NET, Suyati Technologies has a wide-ranging expertise in ASP.NET and has developed umpteen number of web applications with complex workflows for the publishing industry. Now, in addition to this, Suyati's certified product engineers have developed two remarkable products on the ASP.NET and MVC framework. So our extensive experience also includes working in the most advanced automation scenario. Now, I'm proud to introduce you to our featured speakers, Ashwajit MP and Linoy Papachan. Ashwajit is working as a software engineer at Suyati Technologies and he's got 3 years of expertise in Microsoft related technologies. Now, apart from his technical skills, he also has a penchant for creative writing, blogging and inbound marketing. He is an active participant in tech user groups and communities who is an ardent traveler and is an aspiring trainer. Now moving to Linoy. Linoy is a software developer at Suyati Technologies and he works both on server-side and client-side technologies such as MVC, WCF, Web API, HTML5, jQuery, Angular.js, etc. Now he possesses strong analytical abilities and is a great team player. Linoy's personal interest mostly lies in cricket and he's a big fan of the Indian cricket team, especially Saurav Ganguly. So our social media tags, please do feel free to post questions, follow us, or you can even tag us. You can use the hashtags and handles that you see on the screen. Agenda of the day. So Ashwajit will walk you very quickly through the agenda of the day. So now that's all from my end. Over to you, Ashwajit.
Okay. Thank you, Mukta. Myself, Ashwajit, and I will be taking the MVC portion of this webinar. And remaining Web API portion will be taken by my friend, Linoy. Okay, and this is the second to the series. The series started last week by Mr. Rifaj as a ASP.NET 5. So this is the second session to that series. And we can quickly go through what is agenda. So the first session will be MVC Evolution. And we will be discussing from MVC 1 to 5, how it has evolved as a framework. Then we'll move on to the 5 core features introduced in MVC 6. And we will do a practical session along with it. Among these features, the first will be Single and Unified Software Framework. What is Single and Unified Software Framework will be discussed, and then the next feature will be Tag Helpers replaced. How Tag Helpers replaced MVC Helpers in ASP.NET 5 MVC 6. And the next feature will be which is going to be discussed is Inbuilt Dependency Injection in MVC 6. And the fourth one will be View Components. And the fifth one will be how we can do self-hosting and how we will do Azure Deployment. And after that, Web API demo project will be there, which will be taken by my friend Linoy. So moving to our first slide. So this is our MVC Version Evolution. It started in the year of 2009. MVC 1 has been introduced, and here you can see the major features in MVC1, HTML helpers, Ajax helpers, and routing and unit testing. These were the features introduced in MVC1. Coming to MVC2, after correct 1 year, it is released they released MVC2. In that, templated helpers were there, and has been introduced as client-side validation features introduced, and async in controllers. Asynchronous functionality has been introduced. Coming to MVC3, after 1 year again, they introduced 2 options: Razor View Engine and ASPX Engine, and they gave us an option to select which one we like. And coming to the fourth version of MVC, a revolutionized web API has been introduced. This, when it comes to the services, ASP.NET Web API is the most used web service nowadays. And coming to MVC5, ASP.NET Identity for authentication and authorization purpose. It is in 5, and Bootstrap feature is also introduced. So now we will look what is there for us in MVC6. So coming to our first feature, single and unified software framework. So what is single and unified software framework? I will take Visual Studio now, and we will go through it. So this is Visual Studio 2015 CTP6, available in Microsoft site. You can download it. It's completely free. And we will show some examples using this IDE now. Okay, I'm going to give the name to this application, Suyati Webinar. Okay, fine. So here I will show you what a single and unified framework means. In the previous versions, here you can see in 4.6 templates, web forms, MVC, web API, all this are separate. You can see it here, and even you have an option here to add that MVC. If you're selecting web forms, you have option to add the folders for MVC and web API. If you select MVC, that means for ASP.NET MVC application development, you have this option of selecting web API and web forms. And if you have web API, you have this option of web forms, like that. So even though conceptually a lot of similarities are there, we were using it separately. So we have to remember everything, every namespace and everything we had. It was so confusing. So coming to ASP.NET 5, that means in MVC6, here you have only one. That means all these frameworks are combined and unified into a single framework. See here, if you look at here, web forms, MVC, WebAPI, it is disabled completely. That means it became one unified platform. So we can go for it. We can see how this is unified and how Microsoft has done it. Now it's very easy for us. I will show the project, how it is structured and everything. Okay, fine. Now it's loading. That means the controllers, filters, models, there are a lot of similar functionalities are there, but in the previous versions we were using it as a separate software framework. But here, this Solution Explorer. Okay, fine. So this is the structure, and here it is very familiar to you, all these controllers, views and models. Even though few other things like web config and global SX we are missing, I will come to it later. We'll add a controller now. Okay, now I'm adding a controller, and I will show you how that controller can be used for MVC as well as web API. As a single unified platform you can use. Okay, here it comes. Here I will give the name as Suyati. Yes. Okay, now it will come. Okay, this is very familiar to you. This is a controller. So, but in the controller, if you see this, we are inheriting this controller, right? So in MVC we are inheriting this controller, and web API we are inheriting web API controller in the previous versions. But hereafter, this single controller is enough for web API as well as for MVC. I will click F12 and show you what is the namespace. Before, as you know, we were using system.web.mvc, but see, here it is Microsoft.asp.NET MVC. So it has changed. System.web.mvc. What is the reason why they changed? Because for each request, they were consuming 30K of memory space. Now in this Microsoft ASP.NET MVC, the new version, the more lean and fast version, it is only consuming 2K space. That is the difference. And also here, if you see the action, it is changed from action result to IAction result. replace F12, it will again go to Microsoft. See, that is, it has changed. Here we are using Microsoft.ASP.NET MVC. I will show you what it is. Here, if you go down to the reference, you can see Microsoft ASP.NET MVC. If you take the properties, okay, if you take that, the properties, here it is. Okay, see, if you take the properties of that, you can see this package, not assembly. Before it was assembly, as you know, system.web.mvc, we were using package. So it is completely package based, and it is your choice to choose. Okay, going back, and when it comes to the routing, if you go to the startup class, this is instead of, this is just like public static void main console application, just like global access application. Instead of that, in MVC6 we are using startup.cs. So here you can see the routing you can do for the MVC service, we can do for the web API. Here, if you go down for the routing also, you can use for the web API. That means altogether we can use this single framework for web API as well as MVC. That is the concept of single unified platform. I hope you understand that. We will go to the next slide. Okay, we will go to what is the next feature introduced in MVC6. Tag helpers replace void MVC helpers. We will go straight and explain. Okay, this is our application and go. What is tag helpers? What is MVC helpers? We go to the view. We will go to the login. Here in the login, you can see a lot of using HTML, begin forms. These are called MVC helpers. I hope you know that. So here in MVC6, we are using a new concept called tag helpers. Tag helpers is something different, and it is very easy. Especially this area will be handled by this client-side area will be handled by design people. So it is always confusing for them to use the C# and HTML combined helpers. So here Microsoft has introduced tag helpers, which is very easy to use, and it is almost similar like HTML. Okay, I will write a code equivalent to this MVC helper in tag helper here now. Form I am using. Okay, fine. This is very simple to write. I will show you how to it. We will use ASP hyphen controller. Okay, then ASP hyphen action, then ASP hyphen root return URL. Okay, now we copy this account, that is controller, to here, and this login to here, and this viewback dot return URL to the space as well. And then just don't forget to put this at, that is denote the ASP. Coming down, here we have to mention the method. We will be using post method. Then for the class, we will be using form horizontal, and for the role, we will be using form will be used. Okay, so this end tag form will be taken from here, and we'll put it in the closing brace. Put it in the closing brace. That's it. You're done. You're done with adding the tag helpers. So you replace MVC. We can just remove this MVC helper from here. See. Now we replace that, and we can use this form, which is very convenient to look and very easy to add. Just like that, you can add here text box also. For text box, you instead of this ASP4, I'm not adding it. I will show, instead of this ASP action, you have to add ASP4, and you can replace this text box. You can replace this validation. That means with tag helpers, you can replace almost all MVC helpers. Okay, I hope you understand. We'll go to the next slide, next feature. Now it is inbuilt dependency injection. So before we go and talk about dependency injection, I will tell what is the basic address. I will just tell the definition of dependency injection. Dependency injection, it's a design pattern which is used for inversion control. I will tell you more in detail. Like you can consider it as a dependency as service, and then one client will be there, suppose, and this dependency will pass to that client or object, we can say, and we pass that dependency to the object, and not letting the object to build or find for that dependency. That is the basic understanding of dependency injection. And understanding the importance and wide use of dependency, Microsoft introduced in this framework the default dependency injection. I will show you how it has done. We will go to startup.cs. In the previous versions, we were depending on AutoFact and inject third-party dependency injection for this purpose. But here in this MVC6, we no longer want to depend on this third-party AutoFact and inject. Here you can see this iService collection. This is the interface from Microsoft.framework.dependency injection. This is the namespace which is added by Microsoft to the framework for us to use this inbuilt dependency injection. Here you can see using the object. Here they added vanity framework. Here you can add the MVC like that. Whatever the dependency injection is, you can simply add here in the configure service. Here the configure service, you can simply add it. Like and also if you want to use any kind of third-party dependency injection, just remove this and you can use that AutoFact or whatever it is needed. Okay, that's all about dependency injection in MVC6. Now we go to the next feature, main feature, core feature of MVC6, view components. What is view components? View components are very similar to partial views. I think you might have used it many times in partial views. We used it many times where the total page, we only want to render the chunk of the page, no need to render the whole page. In such situation, we can use view components. Even though it is similar to partial views, it is more advanced and powerful than partial views in many ways. We can call it as a mini controller. Especially, there are very complex situations are there where when you use partial views, it will become more complex. In such situations, you can use this view components. Here are the main situations listed here: login panel. If you want to make it a login, log off, things like that, you can use view components very easily. And recently published articles, dynamic navigation. I will go through a sample. I will do a sample application, sample thing about view components, then it will be more clear for you. I will add here. You can simply add a folder, and you can call it as components. Okay, and I will add a class to it. And I will call that class as Suyati view component. Suyati view component. Fine. Now I will add few codes here. Here you have to inherit the default view component here. View component. Okay. Now we can add that Microsoft is missing. It's showing some. This is not needed, and it's showing yes. So we added that namespace and it's fine. We add here a method. I view component. I view component result. We added it and we simply give a method name. And what we do here is we add a string. Items, and we give some text to it, like hi Suyati, and now we will return that text to the view. Return view. Okay, fine. We can give it as an object. Object. So we are done now. Okay. So this portion is okay. Now we will add in view. We will add the view portion. In the shared folder, I will add one more folder. It is components. One more folder under it. Suyati, and I will add the view as well. From here you can add view, MVC view page. We give the name as a default default. Okay, fine. So we add the view as well. So we remove this code here and we will simply render that which we transfer, we get from our controller. And we will print that in a, okay, fine. So now model, yes. So this is also, now we need to call this view from wherever you need. I will save this one. Okay, we will call this from account login. Okay, from account login, I will go down from here and write there. Even without div also you can write. I'm simply writing it. And add component C, the IntelliSense work, and we find it and invoke. And we write the name here. It is invoke is given. Now we have to make this here invoke and go to the login and we write the name as here Suyati. Okay, I think we are done almost. Default we added, the class we added, and the login. Okay, now we can run the application. I'm going to run the application here. F5. Now it is loading. Actually we are using IIS Express, the default web server in Microsoft Visual Studio. And it is taking some time. Now the browser will get open. The build is exist. Yes. So it is opened. So we will get the default ASP.NET 5 MVC 6 default template we will get. It will be rendered in MVC 6. Yes. So this is our default Visual Studio template for purpose. And I will click the login. Let's see what's going to happen. We added this one. Yes, see this one. Hi Suyati. Like this is a view component. So like this, you can add view component wherever you require. It's very lightweight and it's very easy to use. And this is all about, so if you understand, this is all about a view component. I will go back to our slide. Yes. And this is our last feature which we are going to discuss here. And this is about self-hosting and Azure Deploying. So what is self-hosting? In the previous versions, I will go back to our Visual Studio. In the previous versions, you weren't allowed to host apart from IIS Express, IIS, because it was tightly coupled with IIS. But here, this is host agnostic. The latest version is completely host agnostic, and you can run it even from command prompt. I will show you how we can do it. We will go to the project JSON. Here you can see a lot of packages. In this Microsoft.ASP.NET Server IIS is the package which we used for IIS Express for hosting. And here you can see Microsoft.ASP.NET Server.WebListener. This web listener is going to do the magic now. You can see here in the commands where we given the port number as localhost 5000. So we are just copying it. Okay, so in the empty templates, you have to manually type all those things. Here we have the option. We change this IIS Express to web. All we done, and I saved and I hit F5. Now you can see this is not running hosted in IIS Express. Instead of that, this command prompt will come and it will be hosted in the command prompt. And you can use this. You can see here the port number. We can use that port number and put it in the browser, and it's all done. Now it's loading. Yes, so this is the command prompt. So now you can see here it started. It's starting. Yes, it started. That means it is hosted successfully. Now you can put it here, the port number, and I clicked enter. Now it's coming. Yes, that means it got hosted in command prompt, and it proves it host agnostic. No longer you required any kind of IIS Express to host this one. Now what we are going to do is we are going to publish this directly into Azure Cloud. As you know, this is completely cloud optimized. You can simply take this publish and Microsoft Azure website you can take. Here you can see this new. Click there, whatever you require, For example, I will give the name Suyati. Suyati, this will be your, oh, it is already taken, so I will, Suyati 1. Yes, fine. So this will taken, if you can choose the region, if you are from, for example, Southeast Asia, you can choose, no database we have attached, so I'm not clicking that create. Now, see, actually I connected my account, Azure account to Visual Studio. You can also do it. You can, I'm using my BizSpark account. Yes, fine. So this is a few more things to done. We can validate the connection here. We have given Suyati1 as our name. So it is validating. It will take few minutes. Yes, fine. We will go for next. Here you can choose, you can release it, and also the KRA. This is the option which we not see in the previous versions. Here you have 4 options. In which one you have to be? Here we have KRA, CLR, Win64 is there, 86 is there. That means we have 2 frameworks. The old framework is there, and the new CLR core is there. You can choose which one you need. I just chose this KRA CLR Win64. I'm typing next. It's all done. I'm publishing it. You can see here its publishing happens. Okay, it's running. See how easy it is. We go to the, this is the account, this is my portal, and I refresh it. Yes, I hope I can see it there. The Suyati one, we given name Suyati one. It's taking some time. Let's see, we can close it here. Oh, here it is loading only. You can see it here. That means I've given Suyati one, and you can see it here. Hopefully, it is loading. Yes, see this one, Suyati one. It's already hosted. How easily we hosted it, and here you can click it. You can directly, you can run the application by. So this is already here. Clicking here, we'll go straight. Let's run. Oh, some errors are coming. This hosted Suyati one. Oh, this is still running. That's the reason. So it hasn't finished it. Okay, so I hope you got it. We hosted it here. Now you can run it here. And so that's all. I'll go back to the slide. The next portion will be Web API. My friend will be taking, and over to him.
Okay, thanks Ajit. Myself Lenore. So now you have got a good understanding of MVC6. So let's move into the demo. So I'm going to take Visual Studio. I'm just going to post this one. Yeah, I'm going to select the Visual Studio. So from here we will be selecting new project. We will be selecting ASP.NET Web Application. We are going to create an employee management system. So I will give the name employee management. Press OK. Under this, we will be going to select ASP.NET 5 Preview Starter Web and just click OK. Here we will be going to create a demo. Is to explain a sample project using Web API, AngularJS, and the Entity Framework 7 using code first approach. So it's loading. So here we will be going to create a lightweight application that is using Web API and AngularJS, and the backend will be created using local DB using Entity Framework 7. So that basic template is displayed here. You can see this one. Okay. First of all, I'm going to create a Web API project. So first time, for the time saving, I just copy and paste some code from here. And first we are going to create employee model. Okay. So I just deleting that basic models. Yeah, here it is. It is a basic employee model that all have the basic validation rules and the basic properties: name, designation, salary, and date of join. And here is the identity model that is you. Okay. Here is an identity model. This is an ASP.NET MVC6 identity user. Using this, we will be using a login manager. We will be going to implement employee authentication. So here we will be going to create an application context, that employee application context. This will be created dynamically when the application will be running at first time. So here we will be inheriting it from the identity DB context. And now we are going to create the web API controller. So we are going to create a new folder. It will be named as API. And I just okay. Now we can check into the web API controller. Here what we are going to do is that we will be just inheriting that employee controller from the just a controller class. So it is no more depending upon system.dev. So we will be just using MVC6 controller, and it all deals with the basic employee CRUD operations, that is get all employees, post operation, and updation and deletion, and the delete action. Here we will be implementing that web API route using that attribute routes. So we can specify the attribute route like this. So when we call a function, we will be specifying local host, that port number, and that API / which controller it will be specifying. So here it is an employee controller. So we will be calling localhost /API/employee. So we can access those functions inside this one. And we can also specify the specific routes. If you want to delete an employee, we need to specify that employee ID. So we will be specifying inside this curly braces. So employee ID is this attribute, and that should be an integer format. Otherwise, that route cannot be hit here. And now we are going to create a repository inside this one. So we are going to create a repository. Here is the repository that is dealing with the local DB employee CRUD operations. So here this repository will be inheriting from the iEmployee repository that have the basic functionalities, and here those implementations are there. It just create a DB. Here we will be just creating a DB context, that is employee app context, and we will be getting those data from local DB, and we will be pulling into the client side. This is just a CRUD operations, and now we are going to create a dependency injection inside the startup class. So we are going to set up that startup class. Inside this startup class. When you looking into this one, inside that configuration service section, this will be automatically invoked at the first time that application will be running. So we will be specifying its dependency injection in this configuration section. So when the client will be requesting this repository, it will be automatically resolved at runtime, and it will be returning its corresponding object, and that will be handled by the MVC6. So here we will be setting that dependency injection, and this is the basic route in the MVC6. And here we will be creating entity frameworks is code first approach. That means if the application will be running at first time, it will be automatically creating a database, and it will be adding these employees inside that database. And we also creating two application users. One is an admin role, one is an user normal role. Admin has the ability to add, delete, and do any operation inside this application, but a normal user can only see the list of employees. So we will be creating an application user that will be inserted into ASP.NET application user, the application user user interface. So here we will be specifying its permissions. So admin, this is an admin user, so he have the ability to edit, update, and every permission we will be setting as a true. And this will be running at the only, it will be running only one time in the application lifecycle. So we will be just changing this. Specifically its password 333. Okay, here is a normal user. We'll be specifying its password also. Now we are going to save this one, and we will be giving a breakpoint here. And now we are going to run. What is going to happen? It's loading. Some errors is there. Let me get into that one. Okay. That means I didn't updating that views, that's why. So now we can update those views also, and we can run this application. So I'm going to delete the unwanted classes that is defaultly coming with the Visual Studio. So I'm going to delete those things. These are coming defaultly in Visual Studio, so I just deleted those controllers. And here is an account controller, so I replacing it with my custom code. Okay, here is our code. When the user will be logged in, this will be executed. First, this will be get method, and after here we will be coming and we will be validating the user have the enough permission to access this application. So as I previously said, we will be setting the user credentials in user manager. So it will be getting from the signing manager. So we will be creating its object from the application user. So we will be validating that one. And if validation is success, that will be redirected to the employee page. And this is a sign out function that will be also dealing with the signing manager. Okay, then form controller. I'm also going to replace that form controller. Okay, here is the home controller. Here, when a user is going to access an employee page, it first going to check that user have enough permission to access that page. That's why here I was setting an application user as an admin and a normal user. So if a user has the enough permissions, then this will be checking if user has the admin, and then it will be an he can add, edit, and do every CRUD operations. So it will be running. Okay. After that, I'm going to add the Angular portions into this project. Here is the Angular. Yeah, I'm going to add this one, Angular portions. So inside this script, what we are going to do is that we will be using AngularJS to call the web API things from the client side, and we will be displaying those data inside this project. So this is the Angular basic module, and that will be named as employee app, and here we will be specifying all basic routes, and it will be running as an HTML5 mode. That's displayed here. Here is a controller. That controller has the functionalities that it will be, this is a employee list controller, this is an employee add controller. That means it will be it is using an employee factory. Factory means nothing. When we check into factory, this is an similar to jQuery Ajax method. We will be specifying the endpoint of the employee. That means employee controller. This will be the endpoint API/employee. So we will be specifying that API/employee if this is an optional ID. So whenever a controller will be making a call, user click an action, that is an add method that will be hitting here. This will be going to save inside our local DB. It will be coming here, and from here it will be calling that API controller, and user should be added into the DB. So likewise, we will be adding, editing the employee and deleting this employee, and so on. Here is an application that here we will be specifying which all modules will be depending on the things. So here these modules will be depending on this one. So next I am going to configure grunt. Before that, I am going to add the views that will be using by the AngularJS. So I already have created those views. So I just copy and paste those things inside that www root folder, because here we will be creating all static pages that will be using that employee. So this is an AngularJS list view page. This is an edit. This is just a basic HTML and using some Angular modules and Angular models. And now I think okay. Now we will be going to replace some basic models. We will be creating constant. So we will be deleting these default templates that is MVC providing. So I just deleted that one. Okay, here is the login module that is defaultly using. Okay, and here is home controller. Here I am deleting the default things. Deleting. Okay, inside this shared, I am deleting the basic things that is provided by the ASP.NET. So this is a basic layout. Here we will be bootstrapping our application using AngularJS, that is this code, and here the basic reference that is using the AngularJS, that is a CDN network. After this will be rendering its body, and it will be coming inside this dashboard page, and from here onwards it will be dealing with the AngularJS route. So we will be specifying ngview here. So according to the route that will be specified in the AngularJS, it will be moved into its corresponding routes using its corresponding controller. Okay, now we are going to configure the grunt. So here is a grunt file. So here is a grunt file. Grunt file is using for bundling and minification and a lot of other tasks. Here we will be taking our script file and bundled and minified it. So here we will be registering npm task, and it will be amplifying, means it will be unified all scripts from the script folder, and it will be making it as a single script. So it can be easily loaded from the client side. So it will be only giving one request to getting all the scripts. So it will be amplified. This is a target path, and this is a watch function that will be using amplify. So if some, after that we will be adding some script inside that script folder, means this folder. It will be automatically watching if we will be making some changes. So it will be rebuilding that application, and automatically that will be created. So for the time's sake, I will be taking an application that I already developed, and I will be running that application. So here is the actual application. Okay. For the time's sake, I'm going to take and okay, that is a bundling and minification. If you want to run that npm task, we will be going to view, and the other window we will be taking that explorer, and here that will be listing. So we will be just clicking on run this one, then that will be running. Okay, just wait. Here I am going to show a demo that is I already done. Okay. Here is the DB I am going to use. DB name. And in startup, I'm going to configure it as a Now I'm going to run this application. Just wait for a few minutes. This is going to create the bundling task. This is run from the npm task manager, and this is loading. I think why it takes so much time. Just stop and rerun. I'm going to just stop and rerun this page. Yeah. Now that the application is running, it takes some time because this will be creating an employee entity framework code first approach. So it will be creating that database behind the local DB, and it's going to run. Now this application is running. Here we can log. So we specifying that we will be logging as an administrator. So I just copy paste those credentials. This is I already set up. So this is a login page. This is login the application. Now there is no employees in this application, so we are going to add a new employee. Okay. here we will be selecting and we will be saving. Then these details will be added into our local DB, and we have also permission to edit this one, and we're going to save this one. And if you add one new one, we will be going to add. And okay, and because this salary field is invalid. Okay, now this ladder, if we want to, we can delete those employee and we can leave it that one. If you want to see the database, we just go into SQL Server and refresh. Okay. Here the database we are creating use Entity Framework code first. Inside this one, inside this table, we can see this one. Okay, that's all from my end. I hope you got a better understanding of Web API with the help of this demo. Thank you.
So thank you, Linai. Thank you, Ashwajit. It was a pleasure to have you on board. So now it's time for the question and answer session. Please type in your questions and we are ready to address them, and you can use the GoToWebinar feature that is on the right hand side to type in your question. So I will ask, okay, here's the first question. Is Microsoft Azure Cloud Service free for small scale purpose?
Okay, so the question is, how is it free or not? It's not free completely. You have to pay as you go. There is one option. Otherwise, you can use it for free for 1 month, so that you have to enter your credit card credentials for it. After 1 month, it will get expired. Otherwise, then there is no other option to use it. I'm using the Bespoke account. You can, if you are in a company, you get for that Bespoke account. But normally, it is not free. You have to. You can use it for one month. You can use it. After that, it will go expire. You have to pay for it. Okay, among the question, the next one is, can you show how the unified MVC, asked by Irshad? And yeah, that is the first slide I have shown you, right? I will go because that is the unification happens when it means MVC, it is combined. That means MVC, Web API, and web pages are combined to a single framework. That is I shown in the starting, so we can use it as a one. It is completely restructured, so the routing methods and controllers, everything we can use it as a one. If you want to use it as an MVC, you can use it. Otherwise, you can use it as a Web API, no issue. That is the unified framework happening.
So moving on to our next question. In startup class, among configure and configure service methods, which will be called first and how?
Okay, in the startup class, I have already said that is equivalent to global SX. Means the request will come there first. There you can see two methods, configure and configure service. I mean that this configure, I will take that to show you. Oh, wait a minute. I will take the application and I will show you that. Okay, so you asked what is this configure service and configure, right? I will stop the application. Here at the startup. So this is the question you asked, which one will be called first? That's a very good question. This configure service here itself is different. This method gets called by the runtime. That means the framework will call this configure service first, and all the service things will happen. Then only it will call this configure. I hope the question is clear.
Okay, so the third question for the day, why are there two confusing options as .NET and .NET Core in reference?
Okay, fine. So if you open in the previous, if you are familiar with previous version, there was only this reference was there. So now it is a bit confusing for the new users. You can see it here, ASP.NET 5 and ASP.NET Core. This ASP.NET 5 is the full framework which we were using for last versions and last few versions, and this ASP.NET Core 5 is the new .NET CLR. It has all the features now, open source feature and everything in there, cross-platform compatibility and everything comes under this. So, but you have the choice of choosing. you have a choice which one you have to choose. That means here the reference will be if this application need to be in ASP.NET 5 or this application should be in core, that you can decide. That is up to you. So that is a new feature introduced in ASP.NET 5 that you can choose it.
The next question is, in MVC 6, why Web API controller is inherited from controller instead of API controller?
Okay, now Microsoft created as a unified framework for both MVC and Web API because MVC controller is no more depending upon system.web assembly. So the controller is independent of the UI logic. So it makes it as a single unified framework. I hope that question is clear.
So I hope that was clear. We'll move on to the next question. Since application development was stopped in between, will the source code be available?
No, I'm really sorry about it. Due to some time constraint, I cannot complete that one. But I will surely upload that source code in GitHub and I will share the link later on.
So if you require the source code, you can either email it to us or let us know. So we'll surely mail it to you and it will also be shared in GitHub. Now moving on to the next question, how routing and formatter works in Web API?
Yeah, I'm already shown that one. So here is the project. When we taking that employee Web API portion, here there is an option for route. So we can specify the route attributes for the particular Web API. If we creating as a route attribute, that will be localhost/API/its controller name. So here we just give a controller. If later on we will be rename this employee controller, it will be automatically converted as its corresponding name. And we can what about the formatters means we can also create producers. So here we can specify a producer like this. Produce. Inside this one we can specify it will be returning which type of results. That means we can returning application/JSON or application/XML. So that's it.
So I think that was the last question for the day. We are running out of time. This is all the time we had. So you can look up for a follow-up mail that will alert you on the on-demand status of the webinar so that you can review any material that you had missed or you could simply go over again. And also do watch out for our next webinar on creating an ideal Angular.js app using MVC 6. Now for which all of you will be auto-registered. So thank you all. That brings us to the end of our webinar. On behalf of Lenoy, Ashwajit and our team at Suyati Technologies, I'd like to thank you for joining us and taking your time to attend our webinar. If you have any other queries that will be taken offline, you can reach us at our social media or you can simply drop us a mail at webinar@suyati.com. So that's all. Have a great day.